And finally, we want to introduce you to Detroit CIO, Chief Information Officer Beth Niblock. It was 5 years ago this month that Mayor Duggan recruited her from Kentucky to take the job turning around the city's antiquated IT systems. From office emails to paying parking tickets and water bills to systems that track crime to open data. We have an inside look at how she and her staff of 136 have been working to change the way people interact with the city and can connect. So just head on in here. It must have been overwhelming when you first walked into this and saying, oh my gosh, we're back in the 80s, or?
In some cases that would have been good. I mean, our payroll system got put in 1978. We're now in the process of, we've converted part of us to that, and we're in the process, hopefully by the end of the year, to be completely off of that. So in some cases, 80s was advanced. I also think I felt like I had a better idea of what I was walking into because I was part of the team that the Obama administration brought in of municipal CIOs to come in and talk about what we could do, what could be done in Detroit with technology. So I felt like I knew, and then you get here and then there's like, oh.
And you have $90 million worth of projects
Right.
to immediately get started on. What exactly were those projects?
So in some cases they were really very fundamental, like replacing all the desktops because they were so old we couldn't put security patches on them. People were on different versions of Microsoft Office, so if you got the email, which there was a lot of issues with the email system not working, so it was perfectly legitimate for somebody to say, I never got that email.
So, you're talking about the inner kind of communication of the inner workings of City Hall, but then starting to interface with the public to making sure that the accessibility to the city and city services was much easier than it had been for years.
That was exactly the plan. What do we need to do internally so that we can have access to the computers and technology and we can email and we have new systems, because the whole point is so that we can better serve our citizens. The mayor obviously is very committed to the cameras in the corridor, so we're doing a lot with cameras so that we're able to, really curtail illegal dumping, which is, has been a big issue. We put in body cameras, integrated body cameras for police, so in their in-vehicle cameras and their cameras that they wear work in conjunction with one another. We put in obviously a new computer-aided dispatch and 911 system. We brought up a new 911 center. We put in a new jail management system, a new fire and EMS records management systems. We've got the online permitting system that went live in December. We have online electronic plan review systems through the Detroit Water and Sewer as well as DTE. We've got all the DivDat machines that are in CVS's, so there are a lot of folks that pay cash for, and we don't want them to have to come downtown to pay their taxes or their water bills, so we've got DivDat machines all over Detroit and some in other counties where you can go in and you can pull it up and you can pay your administrative hearing fees, your water bill, your electricity bill, your DTE bill, or anything else.
How does transparency and having that kind of data available to people in the city, how does that change the way they view government, do you think? Or how does that help them interact with the city more?
Well, one, I think it's the people's data. And so it used to be very hard to get information from us. You would have to go through the FOIA process to get data. I mean, for other things, you still have to do that. But to get the data, it was very difficult to get it. And so by putting it out there, it gave us a place, one, it says, here's your data. Mm-hmm. And two, I think it really gave us a same set of starting point. So it would be that government would come into the room, we had a set of data, and the other, the people we were working with may or may not have it. So it was interesting to me through our innovation team that puts all the data out there. We've had working groups with different neighborhood groups to say, here's the data that we're seeing about your neighborhood. Now on our website, we have an address finder, so you can put your address in and see all the data that government has about your address. There's some issues in that quality of that data, and we know it, and people take it really seriously. There's a feedback form on that site and said, hey, I think there's a problem with this data, and we work with them to get the problems resolved.
That was age 21.
When we talk about technology and we make the assumption, or you talk about people are able to access on mobile devices, a lot of people do not have that connectivity in the city of Detroit. Give us a sense of the problem and give me a sense of what the city is planning to do about it.
Right now, depending on which study you read, between 40 and 60% of Detroiters do not have broadband in their home, and 40% of Detroiters don't have data plans on their phones. So that's a huge number. Part of what we're trying to do is do things via text. So you will see, like on demolitions, or on when we had to open warming centers, or if you want to know when to set out your garbage or recycling, you can do all that via text because a lot of folks have unlimited text plans. So you can text, you can call, or you can come to the website. We have Wi-Fi now that we've committed to as a small, teensy, like the tiniest little step of putting Wi-Fi throughout all of our recreation centers. So people that come in and spend a lot of time there have connectivity there. We put connectivity at Rosa Parks Bus Center. We're working on putting it because Detroiters spend a lot of time in transit. So as you're waiting, you can do that. We're looking at putting it in at State Fairgrounds. We are doing a pilot right now with the buses to have Wi-Fi on the buses. We can't leave Detroiters behind. So we've got to give kids, especially, you've got a lot of kids that go to the library or their parents drive them up outside the library to try to connect to be able to do things. And we've just got to take that barrier away and do better.